what are the characteristics of someone you'd even think about collaborating with?
The sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. And the people that, and Jody, you're one of them. That's why it's such a privilege to be here with you. That there is a skill set, an expertise. So that's all part of the balance of collaboration. And probably the biggest thing is a similar commitment. So I'm not, I don't want to say it as a not, but the people that I love to collaborate with have very fecund imaginations. Sometimes they're the people who are teased that they're unrealistic because they're dreamers and they have a vision for what could be possible, what could be created. And they tend to be disruptors. So I think my collaborative partners are like I am. We're mixing up the status quo. We're looking at how do we shake up the myths that we've all inherited. And Jody and I have also talked about both of our experience cross-culturally. I love collaborating with people from other cultures that have other worldviews. I think that we become very single-focused in the United States, as if our way of thinking, our way of living is the only way. And it's a big world. So those are that's another whole field of collaborators that I'm attracted to, because I think we just all bring such different perspectives. But the common denominator is usually out of the box thinkers, but also good implementers, because I think that's one of the things I've learned along the way, that being with people who are only like me is fun, but it doesn't necessarily get things accomplished. So it's collaborators who are also great teammates. And it's kind of a yin to my yang and a yang to their yin.
I was going to ask you about that, because one of the things I find where the women who are attracted to working with other women, sometimes they do want somebody who's like them. And I asked a woman once, does she ever hire anybody who she might not have chemistry with personally, but she knows she's good for that team, that's somebody that would help? And she said, absolutely.
There's a model that I used in leadership development, and there's competency. It's four different C's. It's conscious, not competent, and unconscious. Conscious competency, but not a fit. Then I think of it this way: the upper left-hand quadrant is someone who's competent, who is culturally a fit. May not be the most competent. The ideal is you find people who are both competent and who fit, ideologically, if that's making sense. But there is that, do you choose people who are like-minded, who have similar commitments? Because people can be trained, they can be developed, they can be positioned. And one of the analogies I used to use living in Boston, a team of Tom Brady's would not win a Super Bowl now that he's in Florida. But Tom Brady had strengths, and very specific strengths, not only his leadership, but his physical capacities as a quarterback. He couldn't win a football game. He alone, aside from the whole thing about team, but given what his strengths were, the people around him were all part of the winning formula. So that's how I think of collaborators. And then, that we all like to be with people that are like us. But again, it depends upon what the intention is. If it's hanging out, I'm going to hang out with women who are like I am. But if I'm moving a movement forward, or I'm developing a business, I, honor them, respect them. We're aligned. We have a similar purpose. And then we're going to have different ways to approach it, and then have the ability to assess that and accept each other rather than be threatened by it. Because I think we get threatened by it. Well, you don't think the way I do. I am married to someone who is so my opposite in terms of approach. And there are times that we're like this, and most of the time we're grateful, because it just has us be effective as partners. And it's the foundation of a great marriage. Respecting, honoring, and loving those differences for the value each one of us provides. And there's only two of us in our marriage, but imagine expanding it. I love the question. Jody, I love the question.
I'm glad to hear that, because I noticed that we women in the past, and we are at such a great, I know we've talked about this and what angle you're coming from and I'm coming from, we're all creating new territory. How do you create this? How do you even talk, think, or act nowadays? It's I mean, obviously we know certain things, but I'm talking about this new territory we're coming across, this new territory of aliveness, that we are alive. We are living longer. We are not even longer. We can live better than we did. We have
Right.
the ability to do it. And how do we, and which I know you are changing that thinking of, okay, now what? How do we get that? And how do we stay motivated? How do you keep that motivation when you think you can't see out of a bag?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. And I think part of, the development of this iteration for me with the art of aliveness is that, I'm very vibrant, and it is years of practices. I have practices, I have habits. I think that's the big thing, that we can harness that. And I started to do research in brain science. I'm certified in a program from Yale called The Science of Well-Being. Who was in the course with me, interestingly enough, and I found out that it's now part of a required course for freshmen at Yale, which blew my mind. You think about, you've got 17, 18, 19-year-olds, the best and the brightest, who are being taught about how to manage their lives, how to have energy, how to be alive, how to be happy. The perception of you're 19, you're 20, you're at Yale. Oh my goodness, you've arrived. And the suicide rate, the depression, all of that's going on. So it's a multi-generational conversation that if we maybe started younger, I feel that, there's been a path that I've been on, that a chosen path that, and because it's all been about creativity, which to me is the access to aliveness, being connected to that. And how do we stay happy? How do we inhabit inhabit ourselves? It's kind of like an inside out phenomena, but it's, how do you, I don't have an answer. This is the work that I do. How do you create and roll with the flow? And then there are tools and techniques that one can actually learn. And I've really gotten very interested just in the whole, the neurons firing and neurologic patterns and pathways. It takes it out of the realm of emotion. And when I actually understand, like, oh, I can actually impact that. I'm not stuck with anything. And sometimes, it's like, okay, there's habits. And something that I saw in Scientific American years ago was habits are one of the hardest things to change. And, there's neuronal troughs. So that's, we have a lot of the way our bodies work that keep us stuck in certain patterns. It's not personal.
I want to interject there because I want to be sure people also, especially my audience, are getting the idea that, because a lot of times they do get stuck. They do get stuck in the feelings, and that it seems like the world is just going to be the way it is forever. And when we can take it out of that context and take it into, those are your neurons acting up. Just practice. It sounds kind of like, just throw a hamburger on, but it really, these are the neurons. But to take it out of this emotional upheaval and to get some detachment, and that's, I know why we talk about, of course, about the exercise, about releasing the energy, but getting that stuff going again so that we can open our brains. And this is so important, what you've shared. And I want to be sure that the audience is getting that, because I think that this is something that can help all of us when we feel that overwhelm of, am I really big enough for this?
Yeah.
And take it.
Is it okay if I share a little tip or a little practice? It's really,
we love it. Well, sure. What, as a matter of fact, I mean, there's so much you have to share, but please share also what you can offer our audience. I mean, we could go on for days because she has a wealth of information, incredible, extensive background over many, many years. But please share what is on your heart today to share with us.
Well, one of the things that's helped me a lot in And as Jody just said there, I mean, the last 7 years of my life have been an incredible journey of health and wellness. And I'm 4 years out of treatment for a breast lesion and surgery and chemotherapy and radiation. And all of the things that I bring, they're really not theoretical. There are habits and practices and a lot of support. But I love the question when you said about collaborators, that my health, well-being, all of that has been a team effort. So that is one of the things that I've learned along the way, is the power of support and team. And I think that that's maybe one of the lessons of maturity, Jody, is that we're not in this life alone, and doing it alone, there's nothing to prove. I've already done, it's kind of a been there, done that. And having love and support, and love especially around me, is as healing as anything, and regenerative and part of aliveness. And one of the things in neuroscience is that we are Teflon for the negative, and take a look for yourself and everybody who's listening and watching. We're Teflon for the negative, and we're Velcro for the negative and Teflon for the positive. And there's a 3-to-1 ratio, and you can practice. And this is like really a gift right here, to notice anytime that, and it's neurophysiologic, and our brains are designed to survive. So when we were out there with the woolly mammoth, that fielding and being in relationship with the environment, which was a hostile environment, you needed to survive, to keep your eyes open for the threats. We'll call those the negatives. That's not the world that we're lived in, but our brains are still primitive. So we will attach to, out of survival, and it's work because we're all here, the negative. So it's to notice whenever there's negatives, for every one negative that you say to yourself, that's the, oh my goodness, I don't think I can get out of bed. Oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? As a negative thought, then to consciously shift to 3 things that are great about you, about your life. It could be that the sun is up. It could be anything. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's a conscious choice in the moment to notice the negative, and that the negative doesn't mean anything. It's not true. It's like, thank you, brain. Thank you for doing such a good job. Now, where do I want to focus? And there's a saying, what you focus on expands. But we are designed to focus on the negative for survival. So it's a good thing. It's when you're out, I used to live in Boston. That was a very useful set of skills to stay safe. I was aware and awake of what might be of danger in my environment, but that's not the environment I'm in. So I hope that offers something to people, because it's just really easy. It's called the 3-to-1 ratio.
That is
it's something we can practice any time of the day, but it takes being aware. That's always, I think the first thing is always the willingness to be aware and to tune in.
That is a super tip. And also we will post that. Is there something else that you would like to offer to get our audience more of an idea of how you can help them today?
So one of the things and Jody will post my email address. I would love to give everybody my Art of Aliveness and Happiness quiz. And the thing that's so much fun about it is that it'll give you a snapshot of how happy and alive you are right now, and for no reason. Because a lot of, being alive and being vibrant, and I think having gone through treatment and really confronted, will I live through this or not, gave me the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to put myself through that. I know I'll be fine. Well, on behalf of what? There was no necessary reason that I don't have children. I'm not one of those people. I don't have kids. I don't have grandkids. A lot of the things, well, I'm going to live for this or that. It was really, because it's a choice. I choose life. I choose to be alive, and then go be alive, if that makes any sense. So that's the spirit of the quiz, because we look so much outside of ourselves for reasons to be happy, for reasons to get up in the morning. Well, what if we would just get up in the morning and take on our lives just because that's what it is to be alive. There's a difference between alive, which we all are, which is breathing, and aliveness. So this is a quiz and an opportunity to go poke around and discover something. And then I'll also have some great bonuses that I'm offering with the quiz. So please go visit my, email me and I will send you a whole package. And in May, I don't have the calendar date, but my plan is my Spring into Spring Aliveness course. And it'll start in mid-May. And if you're interested in that, I can also get you information.
And that sounds so powerful. Is this all going to be on Zoom? Just double check.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter where you are in the States or in the world. And I'm just
correct.
Reiterating that, which I think is an extremely important thing. I don't know where our time goes because there's so many topics, especially about the cancer. I really want to get into that in another conversation with you. Is there some parting quotes that you would like to share with us? And if so, why? Why those today and why those now?
So I think that, and thank you for asking. All right, so I have two. One of them I found in preparation, and I don't know who wrote it, but I think for all of us, this is the thing where it's a multi-generational conversation. Maybe when we're young, we all, when we're 16 and they think we're 16 or 12, at some point, I always love if I go into a liquor store and they card me. I thank them for carding me. I'm so honored to be carded. But striving to look younger than I am doesn't work for me. It feels like self-betrayal. Plus, accepting my age feels really good. It makes me happy. I think I look my best when I'm happy. And one of the questions that I've been posing is, what would it be like to live your life being simply irresistible, irrepressible, irreplaceable, and vital? So that's what we can call an Annism. And then I think the one that I really love is a quote by Martha Graham, who choreographed and danced into her she was still dancing into her 70s and continued to choreograph. And it's a quote: "There's a vitality, a life force, a quickening that's translated through you into action. And there is only one of you in all time. This expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost." So we have a lot to say. We have a lot to contribute. And part of that vitality is harnessing and connecting to that, whether we call it, the God of your understanding, the divine spark, spirit, whatever it is, that there's something about being connected to that that's all part of, to me, the art of aliveness, the key to vitality. And just remembering this, Jody, there's only one you, there's only one me. And, it's not, one of the things Martha Graham says is, it's not our business.